So we have seen how the conditional statements works. Now we'll go for loop. So as you know that we have two different type of loop possible: entry controlled and exit control loop. So for example, mostly we rely on for or while loops in most of the cases. So we will start with for loop first. So let's try it. Suppose how we can write this. You see, we can write simply for uh, suppose as a basic one. I'm starting from the very easiest one. Say for example, I want to run a loop 10 times from 1 to 10. I mean, yes, from 1 to 10 or 1 to 9 or something like that. How to do this? That means I have to pick all these values 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. That is why I have to have that particular, uh, you know, all these values present somewhere. And that's why there is a specific function present which is called range. You see, I can write something like this: for I in range, say for example 10. What does it mean? This range will basically return the range of values from 1 to 10. That means basically 1 to 10 minus 1. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry, not 1, from 0. Okay. Since you have written 10, that means maximum value in this range will be 9 and the range will start from 0. So it means that I have a list of values 0 to 9, and this I will be we will run in this particular range, and for every iteration of this loop the value will be assigned in I. For example, just to show you again, I'll have a colon as usual, and if you print I, only I. Okay, if I just print this, you will see what will come. It's come 0 to 9, something like this. And you see there is a value I again came here. A and B is not present right now, it is not required, so I'm just deleting this, and I have only one I. This is the loop variable, you can say, present, whose final value is coming here naturally, because the value will be updated here based on after end of execution the program. Naturally, after executing the program, at the end of the execution of the program, the value will have the last value in the range, that is 9. Okay. So in case of, if you want to compare the scenario with C, it is little bit different. The reason is that I know in the sense is that in case of if you recall the strategy of for loop in C, what you have seen, it's seen that it looks something like for I equal to 0, I less than equal to 9, I plus plus. So there was a criteria that I less than equal to 9, that is the end boundary line, right? So and we have seen that this for loop will stop only when I will become greater than 9, because the condition is given lesser equal to. That means when I will be equal to 10, then the condition will be false and loop will break. So if you, in C language, if you want to run a loop something like, if you run a loop something like this, like for I equal to some value I less than equal to 9, I plus plus, and then print I, at the end of the loop, if you want to print the value of I, you will see it's 10, because it has been crossed the limit, and that's why loop broken. But This is not true for Python. In case of Python, you see the last value of I is already given 9. So it is not yet crossing. It's going on to up to this last value in the range. So now sometimes every time his range is not required. I mean, for example, maybe you want to go for a range which is a particularly defined from a particular value to another particular value. How to do this? Again, as you have seen in case of list, you can use a colon. Say for example 10 colon 20. What does it mean? It means that it started from 10 and will go up to 20 minus 1, that is 19. So if you print these values, you will see, I'm sorry, okay, sorry, not colon, I have a mistake, it should be comma. 10 comma 20, it means that from 10 to 19, so it will print, you see, 10 to 19, all the value is being printed here. But if you give a particular, if you want to do it for, say for example, from zero, it's always go, if you just omit this part, if you have only one value, then always Python considers to run the program from 0. I mean, the range, start the range from 0 onwards. But here it doesn't end. For example, suppose I have a list of values. Okay, I have a list of values, and for each and every value I want to work with. For example, let's create a list. Say for example, uh, a list of, say for example, um, uh, some fruits. So I'm just writing fruit. Okay, equal to, say for example, I'm writing apple, then I'm writing orange, and then I'm writing, say for example, banana. Then suppose I'm writing, say for example, uh, um, some uh, some which particular, shall I say right? Oh, sorry, apple is PP, banana, and some apples. For example, uh, banana, something like that. Okay, so we have this app. This is a list of apples present, and what you want to work with this list, and you want to access each and every element of the list, and you want to do some operation on that. Okay, so what you have to do, that means you have to access these elements, and it's not possible manually, or it's not possible that one by one you will take. Like, you can say that yes, I can write a equal to fruit of 0. If I just do this, okay, if I just do this, what will happen? You see, this fruit is a list coming as a type. Size is 4 because there is 4 elements present in the list. If you double click here, you will able to see what is the data type of all elements in this list. Presently, in my list, I have all all the fruits are there. That's why all are strings. But if you put some value, naturally, for example, if you put some value, say for example 10, and if you run the code again, their list become 5, and you will see that one is given int. And this is what I was saying during list operation, that you don't have any barrier, that you can use only strings of list, or only integer or something like that. You can have any combination, and it's also giving you the length of the elements, length length of apple word, length of orange. And since it's an integer, naturally its length is always 1. Anyway, so I hope you can understand this. Anyway, I'm not doing this 10 here right now. because I want to access only the list, and A contain this apple. But if the list contain instead of 400 elements, then what will happen? It is not possible to do it one by one. I need some for loop. In case of for loop, since I want to access all the elements, what I can do, I can easily write it here like for, say for example, fruit. If for example, um, say if, just I'm getting if as a variable, for if in, now what, where I have all the fruits present in this fruits list, so you can write fruit directly. You don't need to write for a range always. In this case, I want to access all the elements of the fruit list. So if you write for f in fruit, that means what will happen? This particular f will be assigned by each and every element of the fruit list for each iteration of the loop. So if you just print, say for example, I'm writing here uh, fruit name colon, and then you can keep a comma, and then you can write what is the what particular value present in it. If I want to print this, you will see that it will show, if you print this, it will show, you see, fruit name apple, fruit name orange, banana. So that means what we can understand from this point is that it is not only you can work with some integer range in for loop, you can even work with any data type. You can simply write a statement something like this, and in the for loop, Python will basically collect the elements one by one and store in f in each and every iteration. And as soon as you will get all these elements, whatever task you want to do, you can do that. Right. So this is a very important point here. Now, for example, this is how actually for loop works. And let me check once if there is any uh, yes, this is what we just discussed. Okay, this is a very important point here present. So let me just copy some code from this point. For example, suppose I have a dictionary. Okay, a dictionary of looking something like this. Okay, dictionary of something like this, and okay, so since this is a dictionary which has some items here, and you see it is a key and whose value is this, and you see a very interesting thing, there are so many data types involved here. First thing is that shopping cart is itself a dictionary type of data structure. Within this data structure, all the key values are string. Okay, and for each and every key value, sorry, for each and every key, the corresponding value that is present is given as a tuple, and within a tuple, the elements that is present is a integer and a float. So you can, I hope you can easily understand how easily you can accommodate so many different type of uh, data types or data structures within very few lines. So if you just you know run this code, you will see a new dictionary has been added whose type is written as dict, because it is a dictionary which has three elements, because you see there is three elements, something like this. So if you just double click over here, you will see the three elements is given. This is the written, you see, key, and this is the corresponding value. As I told you that in case of dictionary, the dictionary stores data is a key value pair. So this is one pair, this is second pair, the third pair, and you can see that every value is basically tuple. So that means you can double click within this one and you can enter within the tuple. You see it's now coming as tuple. It's written over here. Tuple bracket two elements. What are the elements? Written here. In the first index we have an integer. In the second index we have a float. All this, it's a beauty of Python that all these data types and data structures all has been decided by the Python itself. You are just writing codes and properly, using the list, or using the data structures and the data types. So now what I can do, maybe we can plan to work on this dictionary as well. How to do this? So one thing is very important here is that in this dictionary we have two items. I mean, we have two things in each and every row. Not row exactly, but just you can assume in this way that there are three rows, and in a particular row there are two type of elements. One is key and one is value. That means when I will try to write for loop, I'm trying to basically extract two things from each and every row. One is a key and another is value. That's why here you can write key comma value. Just unlike previous cases, here you can write key comma value, which is present in where? In this dictionary. But remember, we can only consider this dictionary not by name. Also, I have to write items. For example, if I just write this one in the console, you will see what will be printed. It will be printed items in this form. What is the form? You see the items in a form of list. It's a third bracket is present. So the dictionary items presented in a form of list. In a particular list, we have a tuple. You see, every key value pair is a tuple, and within key value pair, this value is itself another tuple. So it's, to some extent, you can find it's so complex, but don't be confused. What I'm trying to say is that when I'm trying to print the dictionary dot items, it is printing all the items of the dictionary. Fine. But my question is that how this items has been saved. It is saved in a form of list, because you see there is a third bracket. So third bracket is for list. We all know that. So it's a form of list. In a list, there are three elements. This is one element, comma, second element, then comma, third element. Now each and every element is basically tuple because there is a opening bracket. Fine. Now within a tuple, you see there are two elements. One is key and another is value. But interestingly, the value is itself another tuple. So so different way we can use to store data. And this is so interesting. Anyway, so that means, as you have seen in the previous one, that you are writing for f in fruits. Fruits was a list. Similar thing, this shopping cart dot item is a list. So same thing you are doing, but thing is that in the previous case, in this list fruit, every element was only one set data, one data. But in the shopping cart dot items, this particular list, for example, if I just put this and write say uh, cart cart list equal to this, okay, just to make you understand this, if I write this and if I forget about this part for time being, and if you print this, sorry, not print, just write this, what you will see, okay, just a minute, let me delete all and then I'm doing it from the beginning, and you see fruit is a list that we are already used in previous example. Shopping cart is a dictionary that we have already seen. But what is cart list? It is saying that dictionary items which is represented in form of list, as over here you can see, right? So that mean you can use here, say in cart list, okay. So for each iteration of the for loop, you will get two values. One is key and another is value, right? And that you can print. So for example, I can simply print uh, uh, something like key is say key, and say in the same line I can write also value is value. You see, I'm using comma just to concatenate the variable names with the string. I'm using comma to concatenate with the variable names and the string. And if you just run the code, what will happen? You will see we're getting key carrot. The first key is carrot, and whose value is 6, and it's a tuple, as you know. The second key is bananas, whose value is something like that, or for ice cream something like that. So this is a way by which you can uh, you know uh, use for loop. Now mm, so this is the way of using for loop. Similarly, we can go for a for loop as well, okay. So for example, if I just want to write a while for loop, I can simply write while uh, similar thing might work over here. I'm sorry, in case of while I think it is not working. Just a minute, let me check it once. For while, yeah, in case of while it is not going to work, it will represent something like, a very simple statement you can write in while. For example, while I in range, and I'm not sure, let me try and check whether it will work or not. Sorry, I have to have colon here, and then if I print I, is it going to print? Yes. No, it is not going to print because it's not going to take a range in while. So you can simply check, like, in that case, what you can do, you have to separately use I equal to, I mean, say range equal to n equal to 10, and maybe while I less than n, it will continue. I'm sorry. Okay, I has to be I'm sorry, I has to be declared by some value. Yes, now it should work, but which is countless because it's not changing the value. So naturally, I need some keyboard interrupt because value of I is not changing anytime. But if I just try to do the previous one, uh, maybe I is not will not work. Yeah, it's working, but you see, in case of for loop, as you have seen that automatically the variable changes, the variable value. If you write the same thing for I in range 10, it means that, and if you print I, it will be printed, right? You have seen it is printed. There is no need to specify the value of I by 0 before for loop, and value of I is automatically changing. That is not present because of while loop. So you have to say initialize by yourself, and then only you can get this, something like this. That's why in general we don't try to use while loop. We mostly use for loop in most of the cases. So this is all about the basic idea of loop and how you can use that in Python, and we can go further in future for some complex